There are terrifying dark aspects of Korea that give us the chills. In order to let the public comprehend what Korean artists deal with behind the camera, ugly truths about underground norms have been broadcast. Here are the part 2 of negative aspects of the Korean music industry that affect artists in K-pop. Mental health. When our bodies are deprived of nourishment, we are more likely to experience feelings of despair and anxiety, and even have a greater chance of taking our own lives. When we consider situations like the death of 27-year-old Kim Jong-hyun, who was one of the most well-liked members of the band SHINee, it is important to bring up this point. In a number of interviews he gave before his tragic death by suicide, he discussed the struggle he had with depression. It is unclear whether Kim succumbed to depression as a result of the harsh realities of fame and celebrity life, or whether it was the harsh mental and physical condition of being a famous K-pop star, but it would be impossible to ignore the relationship between the abusive conditions stars are required to endure and outcomes like Kim's suicide. Unsurprisingly, the K-pop industry has made the surprising decision not to commemorate Kim, since a scandal of this nature is just bad for business. If you were to visit the SMT Town Museum, which is dedicated to recognizing the most successful bands and performers associated with the record label, you would not find any trace of his passing. It is almost as if it never occurred. K-pop industry abuse and exploitation. In addition to being subjected to these unfathomably dehumanizing circumstances, female K-pop singers are also at a greater danger of being assaulted and forced to engage in prostitution. Back in 2019, allegations regarding data abuse and spy camera recordings of women without their consent leaked from a Seoul nightclub called Burning Sun, which is owned by one of the industry's most popular stars, Seungri. These allegations led to the pristine veneer of virtue finally beginning to show signs of cracking. The incident brought to light the fact that K-pop artists are not only abused during their training behind the scenes, but that they are also a part of a much darker system of control by the most influential individuals in the business. Some of the horrible stories that have surfaced in the past few years include allegations that K-pop managers and producers sold young, impressionable stars to wealthy and influential people. This is just one example of the type of story that has surfaced in recent years. Sadly, these stories have not had as much of an impact on the business as they have had on serving as a cautionary tale for those who might be tempted to use their influence to prey on those who are more defenseless. It is common knowledge that a scandal of the magnitude that occurred at Burning Sun could bring down anyone, regardless of their degree of celebrity or fortune. This appears to be enough of a deterrent for the majority of people. Extreme weight standards. The rigorous mental and physical training that K-pop singers are required to undertake is unmatched by anything that could possibly be conceived of in the Western world. Stars have alleged that they were coerced into training for 18 hours a day until they passed out, forced to sleep on wooden floors, and even coerced into starving themselves intentionally. The excessive scrutiny that K-pop singers are subjected to, not just from their managers and coaches, but also from the general public in Korea, contributes to the rigorous and potentially damaging standards that they are expected to meet. It is normal practice to check in with celebrities once a week to make sure they are not acquiring an unhealthy amount of weight. They will have their food rationed if it is discovered that they have even a slight degree of weight growth. It is common knowledge that all K-pop trainees and singers have an unhealthy fixation with meeting the incredibly stringent weight requirements. Regardless of their height, K-pop stars are not allowed to weigh more than 104 pounds because their bodies aren't getting the proper nutrition, along with the tough and exhausting amount of training they have to go through. The stars have poor mental and physical health overall. There is the example of An Hye-jin, better known by her stage name Wasa, who has been subjected to online harassment and mockery by fans and stans of K-pop because of her perceived fatness. The most astonishing thing about this is that her real weight is only 96 pounds, which is incredibly low even when taking into account the fact that she is only 5'4" in height. It seems that she merely has a broader waist than other K-pop singers, which makes her look enormous in comparison to the typical prepubescent frame of most women who work in the business. Hwasa looks like a lady. She is really gorgeous to look at, and many ladies in the West would be green with jealousy over her hourglass form. Unfortunately, this is a source of embarrassment for her, and some utilize the fact that she has a womanly form to argue that she is too overweight to be a celebrity. Managers blackmail their clients. There are occasions when K-pop singers really generate sufficient money to be able to buy their way out of their contracts. There are only a few instances in which they are really able to move on to a better offer. Hence, many of the agencies hold some dirt on their stars in order to protect their interests. After discovering that one of his male customers was a secret homosexual, one manager made the decision to use this information against the customer. He then paid another man to seduce the wannabe celebrity and discreetly videotaped the two of them having relationships while the camera was hidden in the aspiring star's house. After that, he forwarded the footage to the young man's parents and threatened to make it public unless they paid him a sum of money equal to $500,000. It has even happened to famous people. The manager of a prominent K-pop artist by the name of Baek Ji-young caught her having relations behind her back and then used the footage to blackmail her into changing the terms of her contract. When she tried to call his bluff, he revealed it to the public on the internet, which utterly ruined her career for years to come. When Baek attempted to bring charges against Yeon-seok, the manager, Kim fled to the United States. He was able to continue his shady behavior in the same manner that he had displayed in South Korea for many years. It was because he was caught in the act of committing statutory rape that he was ultimately taken into custody. Anti-fans tried to murder them. However, K-pop singers have more than simply fans of their music. They also have anti-fans, or those who actively wish for them to be eliminated from existence. The vast majority of the time, these individuals limit themselves to posting derogatory remarks on online message boards, but a few of them go a step farther. At least one of them was successful in poisoning one of the stars. A K-pop star by the name of Yeon-seok was taken to the hospital when a fan gave him a drink that contained a poisonous glue. Yeon-seok was left shaken up as a result of the encounter. He would later explain that it took him a number of years before he could put his faith in another person. But the most vicious haters are arguably Daniel Lee, also known as Tableau, a Korean artist who has inspired an entire organization devoted to destroying his life. These haters call themselves anti-fans. Lee had informed people that he attended Stanford University. However, these individuals did not trust him and began sending him death threats as a result of this. Lee attempted to reassure them by displaying his master's degree and enlisting Stanford University to support him, but neither strategy was successful. A violent conspiracy began spreading the rumor that he had used the identity of a Stanford graduate without their permission. He received a number of messages from individuals warning him to guard his back and branding him a liar. They would also call his mother, with at least one of them shrieking, "You're a whore," at her while they were on the phone with her. Lee gave up making music for a spell because he was so concerned for his own safety that he didn't want to risk his life. Since then, he has made a full recovery, but when he was going through his worst times, he said that he had a reasonable fear that someone might attempt to murder his children. He stated to a reporter, "Honest to God, I'm damaged, and I don't know whether I'll ever be well."